Hello friends, today we're going to be talking about and looking at half-naked men. And it's not gay because I'm doing it for work and I've got my fingers crossed. So this is all around a controversy that sprung up about this picture side-by-side fitness comparison between Ollie Murs before and after a 12-week fitness transformation and whether men or women think that he looks better. As you can see in this poll that was put up, men said he overwhelmingly looks better after, women said before. And there's a lot of crossed wires and miscommunication going on here. Men are accusing women of lying about their standards. Women are accusing men of not listening to them and being incels and virgins, all the other kinds of insults that they do when it is that they think they're not being listened to. And I wanted to explain a few things that are going on here, first of all, which is that in the before and after picture, clearly he's already in okay shape. He's been going to the gym for a little bit in this before picture. All that's happened in the after picture is that he's burned away the fat. He has cut away the fat from a physique that was already there. And fair play to the guy. But I think these pictures can also be misleading because it's very clearly in gym lighting. Now, what gym lighting does is it tends to be overhead and it tends to be quite harsh. And what that does is it does not necessarily make your face look good, but it does highlight your muscularity. You can see here it adds the shadows in between the muscles that makes them pop and highlight. So he looks deceptively lean and muscular in this one compared to the after, whereas there is a better photo that we'll look at that shows that he was actually in much worse shape before than he is now. Now, I do think, from my own experience, I have been both of these men. I've been worse than this as well. And I can tell you from experience that there is one physique of the two of these that will get you a lot more attention from women. And it is not the flabbier, fatter physique. Obviously, anybody who's been in shape as a man knows that women treat you much better and are much more interested in you if you are in shape. But there are a lot of different factors that women take into account when assessing how attractive a man is. And you shouldn't take them at their word when you ask them, because asking a woman what she's interested in a man is like asking a woman what she wants for dinner tonight. She won't really be able to answer the question and is kind of looking for you to guide her in that direction. Not saying that you should never trust women or never listen to women. It's just on these questions of preference, it really can be up in the air and depends on a number of different things. It can depend on the vibe that they're getting from the picture. It can depend on the face that you're pulling in a picture. I've seen it before where very handsome men have been rejected by women purely because of the fact that they came across a little bit too arrogant. And I think that's one of the things that's coming across here. Women are looking at this picture and saying, oh, well, he looks vain in this picture, and therefore he's presenting a personality that I do not like. So I will say that I prefer when he looks a little bit more relatable, a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more pudgy. But again, I was looking at this picture and going, well, obviously he looks better in the after, because as a man, this is a more a desirable physique for you to have. Most men would look closer to this if they could, and if you say that you wouldn't, I imagine you're lying, unless, of course, you're already a power builder or something like that, power lifter, I should say, and you're going for a more large and strong physique. But most men would do much better if they looked closer to this. If you lose weight, your jaw will look sharper, your chin and your cheekbones will be much more pronounced. You will feel healthier, and you'll have a much better hormonal profile. You'll be able to produce more testosterone. There are innumerable benefits to being in this kind of shape. Having been there myself, I can attest to it. But again, I was looking at this picture, and because I can rotate an apple in my head, not only that, but slice the apple and then rotate the slice of the apple accurately in my head, I was looking at it and going, well, they might be put off by this particular picture, but I can imagine what he's going to look like walking around casually in real life, and it will be much better than in this picture. But that's not the only thing that was going on here. And I explained it in this post, which is that women see this and get intimidated because They worry that if they are going out with this man who is in good shape, that he's going to trade up. I've been there. If you've been in shape, you've been there. You're in shape with your lady, and all of a sudden, she's trying to come up with excuses for you to not go to the gym as much. She's trying to maybe put a little bit of extra food on your plate. Hey, why don't we have dessert tonight? Because women worry, and this is fair for them to worry, that if you are in shape, you are going to be the better looking of the pair. They want to be looks matched, or they want to be the better looking of the pair, because they know that women are attracted to this, and they know that other women will start to look at you a different way. They don't want to have to worry about that competition. There's another factor here as well, which is if you're spending time at the gym, who else is at the gym? Women. Women who are probably going to be in good shape. And they worry that you, if you're in good shape, might attract those women, start talking to them, and they worry that you might start having an affair. These are insecurities that I have seen in my own life from my own missus and from other people who've been getting into shape and seeing their relationships as well. This is not something I'm coming up with off the top of my head. This is from lived experience, ironically enough. There's also another thing here, which is I point out this is something that happens with hobbies as well. And this is because, and I don't mean this as an insult, again, this is just an observation that I've come to through being clear-pilled, neutral analysis. Women stop existing if men aren't paying attention to them. That's just a fact. And they like it when you are ambitious, they like it when you're determined, and they like it when you're talented, but they don't like to have to put up with all the hard work and effort that goes into that. I play guitar quite well, and I spent hours and hours and hours of my life refining my skills. As a teenager, up to 4 to 5 hours a day practicing guitar, and even during lockdown, I went back to practicing around that sort of time so that I could bump up my skills again. The end results of that are very, very desirable. But all of that time you spend doing that is time that you spend away from your wife or your girlfriend. They don't like that. So again, I've had it where they act a little bit sulky. They can try and come up with excuses for why why you shouldn't do that. Or if it comes to the worst, they will just tell you they do not like you doing that. And again, the skills that you get from it are desirable, attractive to women, but they don't like the effort. They kind of have this fantasy in their head of the man who is just kind of naturally amazing and in shape and beautiful and good at everything without having to try. That's not how the real world works, which is why the longhouse exists, is because that determination can be frightening in a relationship because it's time away from the relationship. And some people worry time away from the relationship will mean less interested in you, will mean maybe looking at other people. Maybe it means that you're trying to get those skills so you can attract other women. These are all fears and worries that come about in real life, which is why people try to longhouse you. This is the fact of the matter. But the thing is, again, this is normal female behavior, and this is a much better picture to show the before and after. And I said women claim to prefer slob physiques and men who settle because they try and longhouse you, but the problem is they're actually attracted to the talent, the determination, ambition. They want a man who's going to say no, because that's what it is. It's the test, right? They want to test you. Up to a certain point, there is a point where you can definitely become unreasonable and you need to spend some quality time with your wife or girlfriend. But they prefer the slob physiques because it's less intimidating, it's less threatening to the relationship in their own mind. There is also the consensus-based thinking. There's also the possibility that they're trying to virtue signal and not come across shallow. There is also the idea of intrasexual competition. They're trying to convince other women, no, you go for the fatsos. Oh, we all love a fatso, don't we? Oh, I love a fatso. So all the other women go for those and leave more space for them to get the fit, attractive men. But again, here is a much better before and after comparison. And this does look a bit more slobby. He's not in the worst shape ever, but he's definitely nowhere near as in shape or as happy looking in this. And again, it's not just your body, it's your face as well. The way that you carry yourself will change. Most of the time, if you get into better shape, you'll have much better posture. So you just present yourself to the world in a better way, especially when you feel better. And Joshua Rayner here is absolutely right to call out the utter cope around this, where people were saying, the guy on the left looks like he can swing an axe and survive a famine. I've had a lot of comments like this in response to my original post. Of course, I was also called an incel, a virgin, misogynist, woman hater, all these things. And, you know, my missus and my daughter would be very surprised to find that I'm an incel and a virgin. But that's just how these conversations seem to go. But this is what you expect from women. I'm not begrudging women for their preferences. I'm not begrudging women for the way that they behave and talk about these things because it's expected, right? It's nothing unusual. Your job as the man is to weather the storm. You cannot control the flowing of the ocean, how the waves crash against you, but you can try to steer the ship in the right direction against those waves or with them. That's your job as the man. What I'm actually annoyed about is the absolute pathetic cope that has come from a lot of fat men who are trying to come up with any excuse for why they should not better themselves. And I found a perfect example, and I think I've labeled it correctly, which is somebody saying, no, it's because being shredded isn't natural for 99% of men. Maybe not being shredded to a bodybuilding extent, but if you look at this, people, again, they don't understand how exercise or fitness works. This is not a bodybuilder physique. This is not anything unattainable. You do not need to take steroids to get this. This is an athletic build of a man who's probably, 12% body fat, which is where you really should be if you want to optimize your health and hormones. And this is something that you can get without starving yourself, without having to live in the gym. Again, a couple of months, 200 to 300 calorie deficit per day, and then 3 to 4 days a week in the gym where you spend an hour in the gym, get your 10K steps. A basic active lifestyle, which is what most people do not have these days, will get you here. And for me, I thought one of the whole points of what we're doing is to encourage men in particular to better themselves, to go out and defy modern expectations and lead an active lifestyle where you pursue your ambitions and you better yourself. And all I have seen, which has disgusted me, frankly, is cope. People saying that, well, historically, people who had that physique were slaves. Not true at all. The Greeks were not slaves who had those physiques. And also, even if that was the case, ask yourself this: why are you in worse shape than a slave? Because again, you do not need to starve yourself. This is not a physique that means that you are going to be on 1,000 calories a day. You need calories, you need food to maintain that muscle mass. Okay, so people again revealing either their ignorance or their willful ignorance. I also saw people say, well, cavemen back in the day, if you were fat, that means you had resources, means that the woman would be more interested in you. Cope, absolute cope, and you know that that's a lie. If they see a fat man, is he going to be able to protect you better? Is he going to be strong enough to protect you? Is he going to have the general fitness needed to hunt down your food? No. No, because that's obviously a lie. We find these physiques attractive because it is a physical representation of good health. And anybody telling you otherwise is coping and is lying. No one wants to date somebody who only eats chicken and rice with broccoli 5 days a week. Listen, I have been on a cut recently, and I have not had to eat chicken and rice. Of those two physiques, I'm much closer to the after picture. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. I've not had to restrict the kind of food I eat. I just make sure I hit protein goals and don't eat too much. I don't indulge like a slob. Because what you're talking about when you talk about these, slaves, and when you talk about the caveman, you're trying to make it sound as though this is some kind of medieval virtue, a celebration of richness and abundance. When what you're actually doing is celebrating gluttony. It doesn't take any effort to get fat these days. I looked it up the other day. American men have an average body fat percentage of 28%. And you wonder why hormonal profiles are showing that there's so much reduced testosterone these days. If you went outside, got some sun, exercised a bit more, and ate less because you are fat, you would feel a lot better about yourself and have a much healthier level of testosterone running through your veins. Again, this celebration of gluttony, the excuse making, is something I find absolutely disgusting. And I called it out and said, this cope is body positivity for men. This is no different than women telling each other that Lizzo is perfectly healthy and beautiful. Except it's actually more pathetic because women are at least trying to trick each other as a part of competition by doing that. Oh, don't worry, babe. You can be fat. You'll still be beautiful, while they stay in shape and get the attention from men. No, there's not even that. This isn't men trying to be two-faced to one another. This is men honestly looking down at themselves, fat, disgusting, greasy selves, and saying, I'm perfect. I'm fine the way that I am because women find me attractive. No, they don't. No, they don't. They're lying to you to make you feel better. And I'm not going to tell you that you're perfect, you're a special snowflake, and that you're fine the way that you are. You're not. You're not good enough. You should be more determined. You should strive more. You should exercise what little willpower you have to actually do something better with yourself. Going to the gym and getting in shape will not fix every problem in your life, but you will be in a much better position once you are in shape. You will feel better and be able to face life's challenges head on. You will be better. You will have proven to yourself that you can overcome a hurdle, an obstacle. You do not get in better shape as a man for the sake of women. You don't do it so that you can attract more women. That will be a pleasant side effect of it, but you do it for yourself, to set yourself a challenge, to give yourself mental and physical fortitude that will allow you to live better. You do not tell yourself that you are good enough, because you're not. You'll never be good enough. And that's fine. But all that means is that you need to keep working. You need to keep striving, and you will feel better in the struggle. And people posting stuff like this, saying, there's a reason the victor isn't shredded in this classical painting. I found this one painting of a pudgy guy from a gladiatorial combat arena killing some skinnier guys. Great, fantastic. That's no different than this. That's no different from morbidly obese women pointing to the Venus of Willendorf and saying, see, men have always liked morbidly obese women. No, they haven't. This is disgusting. And this is no different as an excuse. You should do better. You should better yourself, and you should feel better for it. So I will not take the excuse making. This physique, again, is nothing unattainable for men. This is just getting into what should be, and was for 99% of human history, relatively normal shape for a man. He's not Arnold. He's not Mike Mensa. He's not some roided out meathead. He is a normal guy who has got a healthy level of body fat and feels much better for it. So I will not hear anybody say that he looked better before, because obviously he didn't. He looked gross. You look gross. You should do better. We should not put down men who actually go out of their way to better themselves. So my PSA, stop being so fat, you slob.